welcome to my channel. Yes, it's NK here once again. How are you doing today? Welcome to my channel. Yes, it's our book reading challenge day 77, and we're still on the book Attitude is Everything by Jeff Keller. Yes, but before we dive into that, how are you doing today? How are you? How's your family, friends, your loved ones, your work, your school, your business? How is everything with you today? Yeah, if you'd like to share, please feel free to use the comment section. Okay, so yesterday we learned something, from this book. We are on the lesson 9. No, yesterday we were on the lesson 9, and today we're on lesson 10. Okay, so yesterday we learned something about association and what negative association can do to your success journey. Okay, so if you are if you're someone who is really interested in becoming successful, you have to watch who you hang out with. You know what that saying, that idiom or that proverb that says, you know um, show me your friends and I will tell you who you are. Okay, so it's only by your friends, only, you know, knowing your friends can we be able to understand who you really are, what your personality type is. Okay, so according to Jeff Keller, okay, he says if you want to be successful, if you want to be, if you want to keep on thriving in your success journey, you need to associate with positive people. Okay, associate with positive people, always. Okay, so you need to think very well about this principle, because according to him, he says toxic people have a way. They have a way of bringing you down. They have a way of you know poisoning you. Okay, another synonym for toxic is poisonous. Okay, so if you are surrounded with people who are always full of negativity, complaining, trying to talk others down, trying to bring others down by gossiping, backbiting, if you're surrounded with people like that, they will bring you down someday. Okay, so why not take that step and vacate that premises? Okay, so even if they're trying to hang out with you, reject those invitations, because hanging out with negative people will only bring negativities into your life. Okay, so now he also mentioned that he doesn't say, or he's not trying to insinuate that negative people aren't human beings or that they can't change. Of course, you can try your best to be able to, redirect them towards a positive path, or towards them turning a new leaf. But if they aren't listening, if they are not putting in efforts to change, then you have to leave their circle. That's just it. Because at the end of the day, you might end up regretting it big time. Okay, you might bear the consequences big time. Okay, so he says spending time with toxic people, and then spend time with toxic people. One thing is certain: spend time with toxic people and the negative messages will wear you down. That's what he says. Okay, so how much do you spend time with toxic people? How much do you spend time with positive people? Okay, so the more you spend time with toxic people, the more you'll be drained and weary and hopeless and helpless. Okay, because they tend to pass off their negative energy towards you, on you. Okay, so watch who your friendships are, or what your friendships are. Okay, so he says there are consequences if you spend time with people who are negative. What are the consequences? You will be less happy and less successful than you could be. Okay, he also talks about toxic relatives. You can have toxic family members or relatives. Now, he's not saying that you should, disown disown them, or you know just abandon them. Okay, but you can limit your closeness to them. Okay, that's what he's saying. Okay, limit your closeness to them. Okay, limit your contact with them, because they might end up dragging you down to their level. Okay, yeah, so even same at the workplace as well. Same at the workplace as well. Okay, so be careful with the kind of people you hang out with. Be careful, be careful, be careful. So he says, I used to think it was important to associate with positive people and to limit involvement with negative people. Now I believe it's essential if you want to be a high achiever and a happy individual. Okay, so positive people are good for your mental health. So do more to associate with them more. Okay, for me, I love to observe people a lot before I get close to them. Okay, I love to observe their personality, their likes and dislikes, their temperaments. I love to observe them. You know, how they cope during stress, tension. Okay, so those kind of people, once I notice that this one isn't for me, I don't go close. Once I notice that this one has a good energy, has a good positive energy, I go close to that person. Okay, so observe first. Okay, you might be wondering, how do I know who is positive, who is negative? Observe, take your time, do not rush friendships. Okay, now, I'm gonna go off mic, and when I return, I'll share with you what I've learned today. But I encourage you guys, if you've got a book, okay, I encourage you to at least get a self-help book. Even if you do not have any right now, you can begin to build your little library, right? So if you've got a book that you've seen online or have been advertised or have been spoken about around you and you'd like to purchase it, I encourage you to do so. I mean, you need to follow your guts on this, because you never know, there might be something that God wants you to learn from it. There might be a lesson that God wants you to learn from it. Okay, so you can purchase a book. I encourage you. Okay, before the end of this week, why not purchase a book? Purchase a book. Okay, a book that it's a self-help book, improvement book. It can be a finance book, it can be a business mindset book, success book, educational book. Just purchase a book and learn something new. Okay, learn something new. Even if you're a day scholar, you go to school every day, you're learning every day. Learning never stops. Learning is a continuous process. That's what we learned from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, right? Learning is a continuous process. It can never stop. Okay, so keep on learning. All right, so I'm gonna go off mic, and when I return, I'll show you what I've learned from this chapter, from our chapter of today. So, like I said, our book in focus is Attitude is Everything by Jeff Keller. All right, I'll talk to you soon. I'm back. Okay, yay, yay, yay. All right, so I love this chapter. This chapter is quite relatable and it talks about your fears. It talks about fear. It talks about how you can be able to overcome your fear by leaving your comfort zone, So many a times, Jeff Keller says when it comes to success, um, he says no one has ever been successful being in their comfort zone. You have to, there is no how. There is no how. You're going to have to leave your comfort zone if you want to be successful. One way or another, you have to leave your comfort zone if you want to be successful. So, if you're the kind of person who have dreams, you've got aspirations, you want to do this, you want to do that, you cannot remain where you are. You cannot remain there. You have to move. You have to stand. Okay, so for example, if you're the kind of person who, you dream of being a motivational speaker someday, you're on social media, you see different motivational speakers, those ones on TED Talks, giving their presentations, making people laugh, and teaching people something new, and you admire to be someone like that. You can't do it sitting there alone. You have to stand up, you have to challenge yourself. Okay, so that's what this chapter, tonight is all about. It says stretch yourself, confront your fears. Many a times when it comes to comfort zone or leaving one's comfort zone, it can be one of the causes why people do not actually leave their comfort zone is because of fear. Yeah, because of fear. For example, I can remember the time when I when I wanted to go home after my masters. I wanted to go back to my country after my masters. I did not want to pursue a PhD program because the one thing I had always thought about is, I've always heard PhD is all about research, and I didn't feel like I had enough background knowledge on research. Okay, research, analysis, methodology, all those things, statistics, all those things like that. I didn't feel like I had enough, to go on for a PhD. So I was like, no, I have to go back home. I want to go back home. I can't do this. My parents, my friends, they were all encouraging me, go for a PhD, go for a PhD program. A master's isn't enough. They were pushing me to challenge myself. And I was scared. I was like, I don't know anything about research. I mean, I've always been, scared about mathematics. Even in my bachelor's, my master's, I don't know how I scaled through. So so when you know that the whole PhD is about research, like for the bachelor's, for the masters, you can take like one or two courses on it, but you're talking about a whole program on research. I mean, writing papers, publishing, speaking in conferences. I was like, I don't think I can do this. So I was scared. I was scared, but first of all, my visa was expiring, and I was like, they don't want me to come home. And what do I do? What do I do? So I just had to leave my comfort zone. I just had to confront my fears and just start my PhD. I must tell you, we are gonna win. We are gonna survive. We're going to triumph. We're going to be victorious. Yeah. I'm going to come back and finish the testimony. Don't worry. So, confront your fears, okay? And be willing to expand your comfort zone. The courage muscle can be developed just like any other muscle with exercise. And when you do an activity outside your comfort zone a few times, you know what happens? That same activity becomes part of your comfort zone. I love that part. So, Yeah. So, I mean, Jeff Keller's advice is that, you know, stretch yourself, confront your fears. Okay. He says there's nothing wrong with having some fears. Successful people have fears. The difference is that successful people take action and move forward despite being afraid. It's not always easy, I'll grant that, but you always feel better about yourself when you face your fears. So I'm gonna leave you with that, okay? Stretch yourself, confront your fears. You're stronger than you think, okay? So he says we should begin to develop a can do attitude. Develop a can do attitude. I can do it. You can do it. We can do it. Okay? So that should be our mental assignment for today. Develop a can do attitude. I can do it. You can do it. We can do it. All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining me on our book reading challenge today. If you've got books you'd like to recommend for our next read, we're almost done with this book. Yeah, see, almost done, almost done. So if you've got a book or books you'd like to recommend, please feel free to share in the comment section. But till then, take care. God be with you. God bless you and yours. And do not forget, your mind is formidable. Bye.